So, rewind. That was supposed to be the sound of like a video rewinding. It was awful. Don't judge me. It's fine. It's fine. So let's talk about what happened last week and use the chat box for this. What do you remember from last week? I actually kind of have a cheat sheet for you right here on the screen. Cheat sheet kind of tells you what we talked about. We talked about your values and work. Was there anything that stuck out for anybody when they were, hold on, let me check and see. Yeah, a couple of y'all were in class last week. So if you are in the mood to participate, you get diapers for participating, by the way. You can answer the question in the second bullet point, even if you weren't in class yesterday. Last week. Do you behave at work in a way that will support your future goals? So go ahead and use the chat box. Do you behave currently at work in a way that supports your future goals? I'm going to go grab my water, but I should see some yeses, nos, and sometimes in the chat box momentarily. So. Okay, yes, yes, yes. I got some answers. Y'all are there. Y'all are participating. All right, yes, I've got some yeses, got some yes always. Okay. Fantastic. So let's move on to today. So your homework the past 2 weeks was to do the ONet interest profiler. The reason you had 2 weeks to do it is because we're going to talk about it today. So there is a reaction button called raising your hand in Zoom. Go ahead and raise your hand if you took the ONet profiler test. Let me check. Let me see. Okay, 0 hands raised. So today we're going to be talking about the results from the ONet. During class on Monday, today's slides prompted people to want to take the test. So I'm hoping, even though you guys did not take the test, I'm hoping that today's lesson prompts you to want to know more about yourself. Because once again, with our classes, you know, everything you put into it is for you and for the betterment of your life. I can't make you do anything. I would like you to, but I can't make you. So let's talk about the ONet profiler. As I mentioned over the last couple of weeks, it's basically a tool, a measuring tool to find out where your interests lie and then connecting those interests with potential jobs that would work well with those interests. So with the ONet interest profiler, as you can see on your screen, there are 6 interest areas, and we're going to talk about those 6 interest areas. Once again, throughout the session, if you have any questions or comments, just use the chat box. And if you haven't already, put your first name, last name, and email address for attendance. So this lovely little chart, like I said, talks about the 6 different interest areas, and let's dig a little deeper into each of those. And while you're listening, maybe, you know, you're like, oh, that sounds like me. Oh, that sounds like my friend or my dad or my child. Start thinking about who these descriptions are describing in your life. Bonus points, you get nothing for it. But, you know, like when you're driving and somebody's like, ooh, 10 points if you hit, you know, okay. So bonus points, if you can figure out which one I fall under. All right, so let's talk about realistic. Realistic occupations frequently involve work activities that include practical hands-on problem and solutions. They often deal with plants and animals and real-world materials like wood and tools and machinery. Many of these occupations require working outside and don't involve a lot of paperwork. So Examples of people that are in realistic occupations: truck drivers or barbers, masons, the bricklayers, butchers. These are people working with their hands and just getting the job done. It says it also does not involve working closely with others. Think about truck drivers. Truck drivers are by themselves for hours and hours a day. Unless they're stopping at, a little pit stop, truck stop, more than likely they're by themselves. You'll see a lot of truckers get pets. They'll have dogs or cats with them in the truck because it can get a little bit lonely. So realistic occupations. Once again, you can use that reaction button to raise your hand. Does anybody identify with realistic? If you don't want to use the raised hand button, you can also type it in the chat box if you see yourself as realistic. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So, investigative. That actually kind of tells you a little bit about what this one is. Does anybody remember? Y'all are too young. Y'all are too young. But does anybody remember Inspector Gadget? Da-na-na-na, Inspector Gadget. Da-na-na-na-na, y'all remember? Yeah. Okay. Inspector Gadget was investigative. Okay. Oh, we got it. We got a little note. Oh, we got a chat box. Okay, yes. I go to work on time, I do my job on time, and now they want me to be a manager. That's right. That's how you work right now towards your future goals, because they saw that in you. They saw how hard you were willing to work. You were rewarded. High five and clap and standing ovation and a round of applause. That is so dope. Okay, we got somebody that says they do remember Inspector Gadget. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we got Potter. Okay. So yes, so investigative occupations frequently involve working with ideas and require an extensive amount of thinking. These occupations can involve searching for facts and figuring out problems mentally. So examples: Inspector Gadget, actually more like Penny, because Penny was really smart. Inspector Gadget was kind of bumbly, but an engineer, biologist, web developer. Think about a detective. A police detective is out there trying to put the puzzle pieces together to figure out what happened. An investigator. So anybody, you can use your hands or the chat box. Does anybody feel like they are investigative? Investigative. Do you like looking and solving problems and trying to figure things out? Okay. All right. That's all right if nobody connects with investigative. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to number 3 and see if you connect with that one. All right. So, artistic. Once again, it tells you in the name. Artistic occupations frequently involve working with forms, designs, and patterns. They often require self-expression, and the work can be done without following a clear set of rules. I'm sure we all know somebody that is artistic. They like coloring outside of the lines. They like being creative. They don't necessarily want to wear a suit and tie to work every day. They want to be free and wear what they want to wear. Maybe they're wearing plaids and polka dots and neons all at the same time. And like, it doesn't sound like it should work, but because they're so creative, it actually works in a really beautiful way. I'm sure we know people like that. Does anybody feel like they're artistic? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, maybe the 4th one will resonate with some of you. Social. So social, the word kind of tells and kind of doesn't. So social occupations frequently involve working with, communicating with, and teaching people. These occupations often involve helping or providing service to others. Examples: clergy, nurse, massage therapists. They talked about teaching. So does anybody know anybody that is somebody that falls under social occupations? You can use the chat box, or you can, oh, we got a hand raise. Oh, snap, oh, snap. So we've got at least one student that we got two students that fall under social. We've got one of those students messaged, I'm a CNA. Yeah, that's social. That's a helper. Remember when I said y'all get extra points if y'all can figure out what mine is? Ding, 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 ding. So the reason I said social kind of tells it and kind of doesn't. Social, when they say social, it means that you like helping others, which is true. I am an introvert, so people drain me. I am exhausted after interacting with people. So it's not social as in I want to hang out all the time. It's social as in I love serving other people. So thank y'all for participating with these slides. I appreciate it. We have one here. I love to reach out to people. That's right. That's right. Yes. I love it. All right. So our next area is called enterprising. All right, so enterprising, it's kind of in the title. So enterprising occupations frequently involve starting up and carrying out projects. These occupations can involve leading people and making many decisions. Sometimes they require risk-taking and often deal with business. Example, judges, sales reps, real estate appraisers. Entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people that are enterprising. So anybody in here? Anybody in here? Hold on. All right. I changed it for you, my love. So anybody on here feel like they are enterprising? I don't see any hands. No entrepreneurs here. No enterprising, nobody that wants to be like a sales rep or marketing or nothing like that. Oh, okay. Oh, we've got one. We've got one. Okay. Awesome. So enterprising, once again, think enterprising entrepreneur. They are the people that are trying to go out and make decisions and be a leader. Now, mind you, with the six interests, you can be more than one. You can be social and enterprising. You can be enterprising and realistic, or realistic and artistic, or you can be more than one. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, they're trying to put me in a box. No, this is just a generalized measurement to kind of help you figure out what jobs might be best for you and your interests. So, all right, let's see. And number 6, conventional. Conventional occupations frequently involve following a set of procedures and routines. Sorry, y'all, I got some ice. These occupations can include working with data and details more than with ideas. Usually there's a clear line of authority to follow. So these are, not everybody's meant to be a leader, okay? And I don't mean this as a put down to anybody. Some people are meant to be leaders and want to be leaders, and some people don't. Some people want to be business owners, and some people don't, okay? So conventional are the worker bees. They do great with, data entry or, inputting whatever it is that they're working on, but they don't want to be the ones making the decisions, because the ones that are making the decisions also have a bigger risk, because if the decision's wrong, then there's a risk in that, So think worker bees, think, I don't even want to say middle management, just think, just a regular employee is conventional. They don't want to be president or CEO. They don't want to be the head of schools. They just want to be in their classroom or in their office doing what they know they need to do It says they like working with data and details. Yes, some people are born to be a leader. That's correct. So if everybody's a leader, then who's going to follow, right? So some people are leaders, some people are not. And once again, that's not a put down to anybody. That's just the way life is, you know. Some people are going to be, you know, president and CEO and COO, and some people are going to be the accountants, or the caseworkers, or, you know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that you can't be conventional and then move into enterprising, or it doesn't mean that you can't be both. Once again, these 6 are kind of your personality kind of mixes and matches them, if that makes sense. All right, so let's talk about job zones. Job zones are basically, so if you go to the ONet tool page, I sent that out in the last couple of emails, but I will send it out again in tomorrow's email with the website. Not only are you finding out your interests and jobs that follow under that, you're also going to find out, okay, what type of education do I need to get to a particular job? Or you can look and say, I have this level of education. What jobs do I already qualify for? Okay. So, oh, is somebody trying to get in? Okay. So these are the job zones that ONet puts them in. So job zone 1 is some high school. Maybe you didn't finish. Maybe life got in the way. You didn't finish. So job zone 1 is some high school. Job zone 2, high school diploma, and potentially GED. Job zone 3, vocational school and or an associate's degree. Job zone 4, bachelor's degree. And job zone 5, master's degree or higher. Juris Doctorate, medical doctor, PhD, master's degree, things of that nature. So the job zones are just to help you understand what educational level these jobs fall under, okay? You literally can go in there and say, you know what, I took the test, I am a realistic, the test said that I'm realistic, and I have an associate's degree. So you literally go and, okay, realistic, what did I say, associate's degree? So job zone 3, and it will literally pop out all these jobs that follow under that interest, and you need an associate's degree to obtain the job. It's a wonderful tool. I'm telling y'all, it's a wonderful tool. Oh, somebody is trying to get in. Okay, hold on. Where'd you go? I knew somebody was trying to get in. All right, so let's listen to another story from Susie Welch. 10, 10, 10. This is why the summer semester is called what it is, because it's after this book. Once again, you do not have to buy this book. I will read you some different little stories. So let's see. Ooh. I'm trying to decide between a virtual consultant or a pack of grape bubble gum. We're talking about work, so let's do a virtual consultant. Maybe we'll do the grape bubblegum one another day. So, we're going to have story time a week early. It's not going to be as fun as next Thursday, but let's do story time. Let me get some water. All right, so once again, this is 10, 10, 10 by Susie Welch, and I am reading A Virtual Consultant, page 108. At work, 10, 10, 10 can play 2 main roles. First, it can help with complex managerial, strategic, and operating decisions, from hiring and promotion picks to budgeting allocations. And second, 10, 10, 10 can be used as a tool to manage, teach, or counsel the people that we work with. In both cases, 10, 10, 10 provides a framework for constructive debate and a common language to explore conflicting values and agendas. This is why we talk about values all the time, because Susie said values are important when you're making decisions. In my experience, 10-10-10 works so well at work because it goes right to the heart of work's fundamental challenge. No matter what kind of job you have, whether you're an entrepreneur, enterprising, deciding where to manufacture a new product, a sales representative, what do we say for sales representative? I think we said conventional. A sales representative planning customer visits, an engineer, we definitely talked about an engineer selecting members for a special project team, or an executive opening a new office halfway around the world. Virtually every decision involves a clash between the countervailing methods of the present, midterm, and future. Every decision calls for trade-offs and requires an evaluation of potential consequences across different time frames. At such crucible moments, 10-10-10 can act as a virtual consultant in the room, prompting us to gather data, test assumptions, identify options, and explore their varied consequences. I discovered 10-10-10's consulting utility for myself when I was the editor of the Harvard Business Review. The goal at the Harvard Business Review was to publish articles that would improve the practice of management. Usually we had a wealth of insightful, cooperative contributors to work with, but every so often, a renowned Harvard professor with an obtuse or otherwise half-baked idea would insist that we print his text virtually unedited. And if we said no, the professor would raise a ruckus with the dean of the business school, who was the manager of the magazine. One day, a few members of the staff and I found ourselves struggling with exactly such a scenario. The offending contributor was a big man on campus. She's going to call him Professor Hampton, not to put any names out there. So Professor Hampton, he submitted an article that was a retread of previous material he published in the Harvard Business Review and written in the kind of academic jargon we'd been trying to eliminate from the publication for years. So basically, he was using really, really big words, and they were trying to get away from that. One of my colleagues has spent the day trying to negotiate with Professor Hampton, and he was near her wit's end. Nonetheless, at our meeting, she argued to forge ahead. We're in this so deep we cannot turn around. Well, why run an article that's not ready? Another colleague pushed back. We're running it so that Susie won't get a call from the dean, someone nicely suggested, although that's sort of what she's paid for. Can we 10-10-10 this? I interrupted when it suddenly struck me that the Hampton decision was just another dilemma with multiple constituents and varied consequences. I quickly described 10-10-10 to the people in the room, and so they all said, let's try it. The question is pretty simple, isn't it? Because remember, 10-10-10 starts with a question. Should we publish Hampton or not? The 10-minute time frame sparked a speedy consensus. If we went forward with the article, it would stall our efforts to change our brand image from stodgy to accessible. But if we rejected it, there would be a certain unwelcome level of noise from the higher ups. In 10 months, because you remember, you do short term, medium term, long term. In 10 months, the outcomes weren't much better. Publishing the article would set a precedent for other difficult faculty contributors, making it harder for us to reject their less than optimal content down the road. And if we canceled Professor Hampton, our bosses might still be so peeved that we would be stuck accepting an even less engaging article. In 10 years, though, you remember in Coming to America? In 10 years, though, the picture took on a clearer hue. Who's going to be here a decade from now? I asked the editors in the room. All of them raised their hands, and one immediately jumped in with an altered perspective. Okay, hold on. We do have to kill the article, he said, receiving a nod or two around the table. Otherwise, in 5 years or 8 or 10, we would still be sitting here having these exact same discussions. Just the opposite. We need to cut our losses and publish Hampton, another editor countered. The brand is bigger than one article. Why cause trouble? Everyone looked at me. It was well known that I wanted the Hampton Business Review to modernize. I loved and respected the magazine, but I also felt that it could be too staid, too stodgy, too rigid. On the other hand, I valued being in Harvard's good graces. I knew that even with my title and purported authority, I was hamstrung without my boss's support and the resources it brought the Harvard Business Review. Look, I think we have to run Hampton this time, I finally said. If we want to change the Hampton Business Review in the long run, canceling this piece will carry too high a price. If we drop bombs, we will become the enemy, and that's no way to get anything done. I'm not sure everyone in the room agreed with my decision, but at least everyone, including me, understood why I made that decision. And that is part of a leader's job. Sometimes you make decisions that not everybody will agree with, but hopefully in the long run, helps you to get to where you're going. So I know that was a lot. Many of us have never gone to Harvard. I will not be attending Harvard in my lifetime that I'm aware of. But take out Harvard Business Review and put in local newsletter, local school newsletter, or local organization that you're a part of newsletter. 10-10-10 can be done by anybody, not just people that attend Harvard, okay? So let's get to you. Let's get you some practice. So as I've been saying the whole semester, if you have a trusty dusty notebook, you can keep it and grow with it and go back to it over the time to come so you can see what you've learned. But as I stated, you get out of it what you put into it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can use the back of, oh, look at this. This is a DSW coupon. There's some blank pages on here somewhere. If you want to use the back of some junk mail to write it out, you can do that. If you want to do it in your head, you can do that too. I'm not checking to see if you've done this work. But if you are willing to 10-10-10 this, let's get to it. So, what career would you like to have? I know that you guys did not do the ONet interest profiler, but that's okay. In general, what career would you like to have? Don't worry about whether or not you have the education. Don't worry about whether or not you have time to go back to school. Let's just dream for a moment. So write down 1 or 2 career choices and let's 10-10 it on how you're going to get there. So career, and then the question is, how are you going to get there? The title for today is You Can Get There From Here. Oh, yes. Somebody put that they want to be a software engineer. Okay. So once again, you can use your notebook, you can use a piece of junk mail, or you can use inside your head. Let's 10-10 it. So step 1, question. Your question is, how do I get to my dream career? Okay. Step 2. So how are you going to feel about this in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? I don't really like the way that's worded. What do you need to do in the next 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 weeks, and 10 years to get there? So for example, actually this kind of works for any job, any career that's your dream career. In the next 10 minutes, and it doesn't have to be 10 minutes, short term, in the next day, in the next week, research your career and what it takes to get into that career. So whether it's a nurse, whether it's a software engineer, whether it's a Harvard professor, whether it's, a lawyer, whether it's hand model. I wanted to be a hand model when I was a child, but my hands are too small. My fingers are too short. So that was very short-lived. Even though I have really pretty hands, it's not going to work. So in the next 10 minutes in the next day, in the next week, you need to be researching your dream career. Okay? You need to research, places where they do it. Like, can I be a hand model in Atlanta? Maybe. Can I be a hand model in Idaho? Right? You want to research whether or not you have to go back to school or whether or not you have to do any training to get into that type of position. If you want to be a hairstylist or a barber, guess what? You have to get education in that. You can't just cut hair in your house without education, because then you run liability of being sued. You have to learn about barbicide and disinfectant and cutting styles and dyeing styles. I think there's something called biolage or something, and it's the way you dye your hair. And you have to learn that you can't use regular scissors to trim your hair, because that causes split ends. You have to use trimming shears to trim hair, right? So in 10 minutes, a week, a day, you need to research that dream career. Midterm, midway out, 10 weeks or 10 months. At that point, maybe you're already in your training. Maybe you're already in school. Maybe you're already taking classes. Maybe you're already taking your exams. So for example, if you want to be a social worker or a therapist, there's a national board exam that you have to pass in order to become certified, or a state board, depending on the state you're in. So in 10 weeks or 10 months, maybe you're taking that test, or maybe you are just passing that test and you're figuring out the next step. But you want to start thinking about next steps to get there. Okay. So we've looked at short-term research, midterm, doing whatever it takes to get into that profession. Once again, schooling, training, testing, interning. Maybe you want to be in a trade and you have to start interning. There's a term for it, and it's on the tip of my tongue. It's basically where you are working under a master electrician or a master mason, and you're learning hands-on from them. I just can't remember what the term is. All right, so let's look at long term. You want to be a software engineer, you want to be a nurse, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a therapist or a social worker or a mason or electrician. In 10 years, you should already be there, right? If you've done the work, if you've done the research, if you've taken the test or done the schooling, in 10 years, you should be in that job. You should be working your way up in that job or expanding in that job. Let's say you become a mason or electrician. Maybe you worked under somebody for 10 years and now you're ready to open your own company. Or maybe you've been working under somebody and you're ready to go for a big corporation as opposed to a mom and pop, right? If you want to be a software engineer, maybe you have your own consultancy in 10 years as opposed to working for Google. Or maybe working for Google is your holy grail. If you want to be a social worker or a counselor, maybe in 10 years you're opening your own practice, or maybe you're going around the world and teaching people how to be a great therapist like you. So in 10 years, you should already have been working in your field for a few years and working your way up. Or maybe you get into your field and you're like, this ain't it. I got into this field for the money and I hate it, or I got into this field for the love of it, but now I'm burnt out. So maybe in 10 years, you're looking for your next career. But that's how 10-10 works. You're literally writing down steps to get you from point A to point B to point C in whatever decision you're trying to make in your life. And as we've talked about over the semester, it's not just work. You can 10-10-10 any issues with your family, your kids, your spouse, your parents. You can 10-10-10 your social life. You can 10-10-10, work, and your values are what dictate what happens in your 10-10-10. So, homework. You've got homework. Homework. Okay. Once again, I'm not going to be checking this. This is for you. If you have not done the ONet interest profiler, and today you're like, I think I'm realistic, but maybe I'm conventional, or I want to be social, but maybe I'm enterprising. If you are you have no idea what you are, or you want to confirm what you are, take the ONet interest profiler. I'm going to send it out again in the link tomorrow. And once you get on the interest profiler and you figure out, oh, okay, I'm interested in that, these jobs match up, start making a plan for your dream job. Some of you already know your dream job, but if you don't, and you start researching, you're like, oh, I didn't, until Miss Courtney said something, I didn't know I could be a hand model. I have long, slender fingers. Start researching, okay? Your homework, number 1, is to do the ONet interest profiler. Number 2 is to continue to research and make a plan for your dream job. You can do a vision board if you want to. You can do a brainstorm on a piece of paper. You can take a dry erase marker to your mirror and just start writing ideas. I don't know about y'all. Y'all are here. Y'all live in Atlanta. Y'all know about Slutty Vegan, correct? Y'all know about the vegan fast food restaurant, and they stand in line for hours, and it's really, really delicious. Y'all, she's had that business for 2 years. She is worldwide at this point. Pinky Cole went to Clark, Atlanta, and only 2 years ago, she has gone from an idea for a business to a food truck that had people waiting in line for hours, to a brick and mortar store that had people waiting in line for hours, to a second brick and mortar store. The first one is off of Ralph David Abernathy. The second one is in Jonesboro. And she has a third one coming to like Edgewood or Kirkwood in 2 years, y'all. In 2 years. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. If you put in the work. Okay? So, number 1, do your ONet interest profiler. Number 2, continue to research on your dream job and what you need to do to get there. And then number 3, it says number 2 here, it's number 3. We're going to do a little something special. And so if you write poetry or write short stories, if you are artistic and you draw or you paint, if you crochet, if you cook or bake and have a bomb recipe, I would like you to start thinking about it. Next week, I'm going to ask you to email it to me. And then in 2 weeks, we'll share it with each other. Maybe we'll turn it into a little ebook. Maybe, you know, we'll see what kind of participation I get as to what comes from it. But yeah, so if you do anything creative or artistic, or if you bake or cook, if you're a poet, if you're a rapper, singer, and you write songs, if you are willing to share it with me, potentially your classmates, potentially the PAC staff, potentially our donors and other people, consider putting something together, writing it out or taking pictures of it, because I can't get it from you in person. But consider that, and we'll talk about it again next week. Okay? All right. Well, that is it for class. I love you guys so much. You are worthy. Have a great weekend. If you have not put your email address in the chat box, you got about 20 more seconds while I ramble about how amazing you guys are and how much I love and miss you. Don't forget that you can go to our website, pac-woman.com, to get our fall schedule, which is up and popping. And I think that's it. All right. Well, I'm glad I gave y'all a few more seconds. We got some emails coming in. All right. Well, I love you. You're worthy. Have a great weekend. And I will see you next week. Bye.